All right, welcome to another great edition of the Mile High Real Estate Spotlight podcast. And this is just, the show gets more exciting every time that we do one. I have so much fun doing these and learning about people and realtors and niches that people are in. And today is going to be one of those shows that is just simply amazing because it's about investing. It's about our investors. It's about how do we create wealth for ourselves, for other people that we know. We hear this. I think more than anything, Neil, is I see all these things on TV. Right, everybody wants to flip a house. Right, everybody wants
That's right.
to. It's like the magic pill, right? They don't see all the, in a 30-minute show, they can turn a house from, nothing to everything, and we start thinking about, but there's so many better ways to invest. There's so many other ways to invest. Not that flipping is a bad thing, but it's like the magic of it, like, unless you're, your own contractor, your own contracting company, or, something like that, flipping houses may not be the easiest way. But there's so many, like I said, so many different ways to invest. So I have Neil on today. He's going to talk about, he's part of Legacy Impact Investors, and you can see that on here. And Neil, why don't you tell everybody, I'm excited to have you. Thank you for being on the show today. I want to jump right into it because I don't want to take time away from, just talking. Let's get into the nitty gritty. But kind of tell everybody how to get a hold of you first, and then this kind of how you got started and what drove you to do what you do today.
Yeah. Hey, get a hold of me, legacyimpactinvestors.com. There's a little button in the corner there, book a time. That's the best way to get me, and for us to connect and for us to chat in person. Yeah. So hey, what I do today, I'm a real estate syndicator. I focus in the Midwest on industrial properties. And we started growing here a little bit last year strategically with some outside investors. And that's what I'm doing, looking to grow a little more with the right people, not a lot, a little, with the right folks. So I'll take you back to the beginning though. Started my career 20 years ago, started as an agent selling houses. 4 years into the career, I owned a Remax, became the number one Remax guy in Iowa when I was 29 years old, sold 2,000 homes at this point in my career. So ultimately sold my Remax, went independent, and then I started flipping homes. I made some decent money in my 20s. I was like, well, what do you do with this? Well, I'm going to flip some homes. It was an easy next step for me. Then flip homes, that went well until the tax man came calling, right? And a lot of those who were successful agents know exactly what that's like. And so it's no different. It's I would argue somewhat, it's not really investing. What I mean by that is you're not taxed as an investor. You're taxed as a person who's trading time for dollars. So no different than being an agent. So that led me into single family homes and rentals. Bought dozens and dozens and dozens of those things, all to find out that single family homes are anything but passive. And so I made money every step of the way. It's just become another iteration of, all right, how can we do this smarter? How can we do it a little bigger, a little more strategic? Stumbled into commercial real estate about 6 years ago, bought my first property. And I was like, as soon as I bought it, I'm a couple months in, I'm like, this is so much easier. So went on and have bought almost 200,000 square feet at this point of various asset classes, almost all with my own money, by the way. And then last year we started growing a little more strategic and brought some outside investors in for a couple of deals. And that's very heavily what we're focused on here in the Midwest, doing really high quality deals, producing cash flow for people who like, if you're like me, you like to have your money working for you and you like the checks hitting the bank account when you're out doing whatever you want to do. Not working, right? Then that's what it's been about.
Gotcha. So, are you still in Iowa now? Or do you live in Iowa?
Still in Iowa.
Or is that where you
still
still
in
live?
Iowa. Yep.
Yep. I love it. And so you brought up the word like a real estate syndicator. What does that actually mean? What is for
great.
Folks that
Yeah, great question. Yeah. Real estate syndicator is simply this: somebody who puts together real estate deals, a general partner, that's me. And then you have limited partners, people who write checks and they get a return for that, but they're not responsible for things like the tenant's toilet, the termites. They're not signing a loan. They're not involved in the day-to-day execution of that. So a syndicator is just a person who curates, puts deals together um, for others to invest in. That's all it is.
Okay, gotcha. And so a process, walk me through a building, like walk me through, how it all works from the time that you find the property to the time that
Yep.
you get investors to the time, and then maybe even some, what could incomes look like if somebody were to, participate and invest with you and be a little limited partner,
Yep.
what kind of investment. So let's kind of walk through that, what that
Yeah.
would look
Well,
like
that's
for
it. Let's
somebody
talk. Let's talk about the
understanding the
most.
process.
I'll just share the most recent real deal we actually closed here a
Okay.
few months back. 40,000 square feet, 3 buildings. A private equity company occupies the buildings. They're a window and doors company. They've been in business for years and years. They're one of the largest in the Midwest. They have 19 locations, and we happen to buy 3 locations. And so 40,000 square feet total. They'd been in the business in the locations for years. We ended up putting a new 10-year lease in place, and each year the lease has a bump. The rent gets a little more expensive each year,
Mm-hmm.
and it's triple net. Triple net. In this case, it's actually absolute net. Now, absolute net means if the roof breaks, the HVAC breaks, the roof needs repaired or replaced. Whatever happens inside that thing, they're responsible for. They pay all the bills. Something breaks, they're responsible for putting it back in place. So we don't. It's outside. We don't do any of it. They do all of it.
Not a landlord.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. So in that, as I'm saying, what would stop them from purchasing the building themselves? Why do they not want to own the
Great,
actual building? Is it cash flow? Is it? Yeah.
great. No, it's an excellent question. I'll give it to you a different way too. What would make you or I want to invest in a piece of real estate versus buy a CD at the bank? And the easy answer is, of course, we can make more money in real estate, right?
Yeah.
That's an easy one.
Okay.
So
So make more money on the doors and the windows and everything else. Okay.
well, yeah,
Makes sense.
yeah. For them, it's would they rather have capital to invest in their business or would rather own real estate? They make way higher rate of return investing in their business, and this is the same reason why, right? McDonald's, Walgreens, Applebee's, tons of restaurants that come to mind, um, all do the exact same thing. Chick-fil-A, they all do the same thing because they can make more money investing in their business than in the real estate. And so that is a perfect question because it gets asked all the time, Brian.
Yeah, well, and you think of the rate of return, right? My rate of return on my business and
Correct.
how much am I making on my business compared to having an asset that's sitting out there that makes me
Correct.
nothing.
Correct.
Especially if I'm, if I'm working in it and if I can afford, the lease or whatever it is, and even if it's bumping up, as long as I'm making money, I'm going to go out and spend my time and effort making the money on, what I do
Correct.
best. And if
It's
what I do best is not owning buildings, then it's I
correct.
am surprised though that they take on all the responsibility from anything that needs to be fixed. So that's probably a pretty good inspection. Like you have to make sure roofs are okay.
Yep.
That can be a pretty expensive transition if it starts leaking and that kind of stuff on a commercial building.
No doubt
Uh,
about it. And that
but what
yeah.
that's the beauty of what you're saying as part of the investment. If you can get somebody who's willing to do that, then you're not a landlord pretty much. You're just seeing the check come in every month when they're leasing the building and you go, great,
It's as
thank you.
it's close to an total absentee landlord position to truly passive as it actually gets.
Yeah, and if you compare that to, like you said, when you had, homes that were for rentals or flipping
Correct.
houses, I mean, that's a big comparison because as a landlord, I mean, it can kind of tell me some of your experiences, all these folks that say, hey, I just want to have a rental property and be a landlord. What are some of the headaches and stuff that
Oh
you
man.
had to deal with at
Well, yeah. I mean,
property?
well, one of the biggest one. I'll give you 2 extreme examples, and one's an extreme personal one, and then one's an extreme in dollars and cents one.
Okay.
We still own it. I have a 4-plex down in a suburb of Des Moines. Wonderful, quiet community, and somebody was murdered in the place.
Oh my
And so,
gosh.
Hey,
Oh,
and you're like, yeah, people have troubles every day. And like, when I'm telling you, this isn't in the ghetto. This is a wonderful suburb
yeah.
in which nobody had been murdered in the suburb for over 25 years. Okay,
It
so
has to be in European.
it just
In
happened
Europe.
to be in my thing. Yeah. And so everything that, these are not something anybody thinks about, right? Because it's such an extreme
No,
situation. I'm going to take you in a second. I'll take you to another story
yeah.
that's not that is more common. I mean, a terrible, awful tragedy. They arrested the
Mhm.
guy the next day. It moved forward with everything, but what I didn't come to know and truly understand is, as soon as the family decides they're done with that unit, everything inside that unit, the exact condition that it's in, is mine. I I now I now own it all. And so it happened in the
Wow.
unit, all the cleanup associated with it, all the personal stuff. Tons of people came, and they're praying and doing various things. And her car was there. They put flowers on this, so the car's stacked with flowers. Well, again, 5 days later, those flowers wilt, and then they kind of
Yeah.
poof
Just
all over the yard.
wandering and everything. Yeah.
And
Oh my
so
gosh.
all that stuff
And
we're cleaning up. It's not something anybody ever thinks as a landlord to go, oh, I never. How
no.
do you possibly evaluate? Oh, this types of thing can happen. All right, let me pivot though. I had another property that I bought. I don't know, some period of time ago. We don't own it any longer. Straight C-class neighborhood, sits up on a hill, probably 40, 50 feet above the street. So you got to come up very vertical. And one day, city calls me and says, "Hey, you got a water leak." I'm like, "Okay, well, it's at the street." Okay, so send the guys over. Get to the bottom of what's going on. It's a 4-lane street in front of the house. The
Mhm.
water line runs down from the main city street, runs down, and mine tees in, just like every property, right? Well, it's
Yeah.
leaking. It's broken there for whatever reason. 60 years after the time it was put in, decided to break and leak. It's in the middle of a 4-lane street, which means it's my responsibility to go fix that. And that means shutting down the street and cutting into 4 lanes of street. In this case, 2 lanes, half the street.
Mhm.
So for a house I bought, Brian, for $42,000, owned it for a handful of years as a rental, $850 a month. Those numbers sound great until you get a $15,000 sewer bill, water bill, because that's what it costs to fix this.
Wow. And the city has no responsibility when it's the street. It was
Zero responsibility.
wow.
Zero responsibility because it's my water line coming off the main to my property. Well, I mean, $15,000. Just do the math. I mean, 3, 4, 5
Yeah.
years of cash flow. It's 100% wiped out.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, and then it's another 3 or 4 or 5 years to make it back up if you can keep the property and continue.
yeah.
And I can imagine on the duplex story that how hard it is to rent that unit back out after there's been a murder there, you know,
Uh,
and
yeah,
just some
yeah,
of those things that go along with it, right?
yeah, yes.
You think about evictions, right?
Yeah.
In your commercial buildings, I'm sure you probably don't have anybody that you're evicting unless
We've
they
we've
lose
we've
their total
never
business,
we've
right?
we've never evicted anybody in a commercial building.
Yeah. And can you say that about your
No.
residentials? Yeah,
I can say
sure
the
you
only thing
have
I can say about residential is we haven't evicted anybody this year yet. Yeah.
to.
We,
Yeah,
we still
you
got a
know,
few. We still got a few dozen holdings on our single family side. Really quality stuff. I sold over the course of the last 2 years. Drew down that all the C class stuff got sold, so it's high quality, solid B stuff, and some small multifamily stuff in really good locations. It's very manageable, but yeah, we still have people who pay late. I mean, there's still individuals, and we still have things. Sure.
gotcha, gotcha. So when you say the Midwest, all across the Midwest, what does that include? Because I struggle with geography. I mean, I
Yeah.
understand the United States and where everything's at, but when people start saying, like they
Yeah. What
say,
does it
I live
actually
in
mean?
Colorado, which is in the West. Yeah, what,
Yeah.
what is the
Yeah.
West? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't see an
So
ocean nowhere near where I'm at.
yeah, correct. All right, so for us, I'm HQ Des Moines, Iowa. So we'll buy in Wisconsin, Minnesota, North Dakota, which there isn't much up there, South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, and Indiana. And now there's a caveat. I'm going to draw a little. I'm going to tell you one more state, and it's not the Midwest. It's Arkansas, and that is definitely the South.
Okay.
If you've ever
That's
been there,
South, right?
here. I've got a sales guy's been with me on my team for 3 years. He buys through the Midwest for us, but he lives in Arkansas, and so we just added on there because he's in the marketplace of Little Rock, and so we bought some things in the Little Rock market.
Gotcha. Well, one of the things that I've been saying, because especially for the folks here that are in Colorado, the Mile High region, and that kind of stuff, is I'm saying, if you want to be an investor, Colorado is not the place to be an investor, because Colorado real estate is like through the roof. It's high.
Right.
It is, there's so many people coming in. I mean, I guess there's room to make some money, but I'm saying, why don't we go to the Midwest? Why are we looking? Like, I have a developer friend who's building some units in Tennessee. And so I'm directing my folks that are wanting to invest and that kind of stuff, into, hey, if you want to be into the residential side, and, now for, $120,000 and, a $10,000 investment, you can have a piece of property. Whereas, in Colorado, you're not finding anything for under, $300,000-$400,000 that, on the residential side. And I'm not even sure what the commercial side, because I don't spend a lot of time. I'm loving having this show on to kind of learn more about the commercial side of stuff, and the ability to invest, because it seems like to me that's a no-brainer that if I can do commercial, and my thought was I just have to have millions of dollars of money in order to invest in commercial.
Not the case. Not the case. Not the case. Yeah, right. I mean, that's the benefit. It's the benefit of syndication. We put things together like that. The entry point's $50,000, so you can get involved for way less. You can learn as you go. For most people who invest with us, they don't ever end up going and doing it themselves, because they don't want to. They want the benefits of doing it. Same reason why we've got various people, whether it's an attorney or some doctors. The same reason why attorneys and doctors invest in real estate. They're really good at being an attorney and a doctor, right? They're really good at what they do, excellent at making money at what they do. They just want to deploy their capital someplace else to put it to work for them. And same thing with the best single family agents, the best realtors that are out there. They're really good at what they do. It's a function of deploying your capital. Same reason why, if you're going to go deploy it in the stock market, you're not becoming a stockbroker, right? You're really good at what you do. Stick to what you do to make money, and deploy your money, put it to work for you someplace else.
That's awesome. Are there ever any, I think of, like families that I've been saying, hey, why don't you guys get together, pull some money together, get going, get started?
Yeah.
Do you ever have that they pull together and, hey, we got our 50K, we're ready to go, or we got our 100K, as a family being able to put together? Now it's like a family investment, option that can help, I'm trying to think of, the entry point, because there's so many folks that say they want to do it, and they don't know where to start. Where would you say, because you've been doing things all these years, where does somebody start? Hey, I have this dream. Everybody keeps telling me that real estate and land is, the best way in order to create money in this country. But like you said, I'm a doctor, or I'm a lawyer, or I'm a teacher. I don't want to do anything else. I'm really good at what I do. How do they get started? What is the key here?
The best place to do is literally go on my website, book a call. Let's have a conversation, because you asked a whole lot of really good questions and a wide variety of people in their unique situation. Let's spend a half an hour. Let me understand what you're trying to accomplish. I can point you in the right direction. And by the way, that might have nothing to do with doing anything with us. I'm just giving you some advice, because for somebody who's got, make up a number. If it's your first and only $50,000, we're not the option for you. You should not be investing in real estate. You should be building a nest egg, and you should be getting really good. As you said, Brian, get really good at your craft, whatever that craft happens to be.
Yeah. But then once you do have that, or and like I do a lot in the mortgage world, I've been doing a lot of reverse mortgages lately. And one of the biggest deals in the reverse mortgage is pulling out money not to live on, but money to invest in for your family, for your generational wealth. For like I took example, I took a lady who her house was worth $600,000. We put 60, fixed up with 60,000, but we took another 120,000. And then we did to three great grandkids. So three grandkids got $40,000 to start their home journey, to start,
Cool.
owning, because everybody was renting, right? I'm saying, hey, we need to get ownership. We need to start out with your first property first.
Yep.
Let's get you into a place that
Correct.
you own.
Correct.
But at the same time, now I have folks that are they're selling their house, and then maybe they're doing a reverse mortgage on a purchase, and then they're walking away with $200,000 or $300,000 that they're keeping instead of putting that into their home that they're living in. And my thought is, hey, why, if you're doing this because you want to make sure that your family, when you pass away, has money, so let's use this home right now instead of having it all just sitting in land and doing nothing for you. Let's invest it. Let's put it in a place like yours where, hey, yeah, I got an extra 50K, I got 100K. Let me put it in there, and now my family gets to when I die in 10 years or whatever it is, gets the benefit of this. In your case, a commercial building that it probably still has tenants in it that's still
Uh,
working or
I, I,
moving up.
I, I love the idea of tapping into underutilized equity. You've given a perfect example. The next one that comes to mind is all my friends who love infinite banking. You've got an insurance policy in there and you've got cash value. How do we tap into that to be able to
Mhm.
leverage that and put that thing to work in such a fashion? And so, yes, you're spot on. Yeah. So to answer your question too, yeah, I mean, money from equity, but if you can structure it strategically, excellent. Love that. Life insurance, great. IRAs, so self-directed IRAs, that that works too. You can
Mhm.
self-direct and invest directly in there. Um, when we do this strategically, and sometimes it has to line up correctly from a timing perspective, but a tenants in common. So if somebody's selling a property, they want to 1031 into something else, often has a hard time finding something else to go into. We can structure at one of
Mhm.
our deals to take in 1031 money, avoid the taxation from the government, right? That penalty for transacting ultimately, and be able to delay it by taking 1031 money. Trusts, individuals, companies, and as you said, yeah, people pooling money together at either family level or it's become very popular fund to fund type structure and
Yeah.
investing that way so that you're right, get people together. In fact, I'm speaking at an investment group coming up in July, and small group of guys, they all get together, they pool money together, and they invest in deals, both in commercial and in single family side of things. So where somebody might have $10,000 or $15,000 a piece, you get 10 guys together, you've got a meaningful amount to be able to strategically make some decisions on what you want to go into collectively as a group.
Gotcha. What kind of, and obviously every return is different and every investment is different, but, maybe an average, or what kind of return, or do people keep stuff and just, keep reinvesting it, or is it dividend that comes out to them,
Yeah.
every single month, as
Yeah.
rents are paid? How does that work for a person who's an investor,
Yep.
who's pulling, money together?
Great question. Of course it varies and depends on the type of deal we're doing. One example being the one I was mentioning to you, straight cash flow. We've got rent for 10 years. I know what the rent's going to be 10 years from now exactly. Or we have the other side of our bucket is a value add. You know, something we bought 12,000 square feet last year, totally 100% vacant. So clearly we've got some things to do to be able to go get it to a position where we can cash flow. So on the straight cash flow thing, we're paying out quarterly checks, just
Quarterly.
ACH straight in the bank account. On the other side of things, that's what we're working towards, right? Filling the vacancies. And in that particular deal, we're way ahead of schedule from what we had underwritten. Um, and once we get it stabilized quarterly, returns then vary. So on our straight cash flow piece, it's somewhere 12 to 14% over the hold period. And on the value add side, somewhere, we're striving for north of 17 when we're doing those types of deals. This one's way ahead of schedule. I suspect we're going to be north of 30 on that one by the time we actually become full cycle. 30% on an internal rate of return, IRR. So
Mhm.
17 to 20 is what we're targeting on those.
Well, that's so great, I mean, because you're saying, okay, if you want to get into a deal that you're going to get money every quarter, we know what the rent's going to be, then your return's not going to be as big. But if you're
Correct.
willing to give the money and let us hold until we can fill vacancies, and then then your return is going to be bigger. And so depending on the investor, they're able to figure out, okay, this is exactly what I can afford to do, or what I can wait to do. But there is the opportunity, understanding. I mean, obviously, no investment is guaranteed in any one spot at all.
Correct.
Like that's one of the things that I really enjoy about like when I talk about the reverses, because they don't have a payment when they pull that money out, right? So they can pull as much money out and wait, because they don't have a payment on that out. So it's like one of these hidden gems that, people use it right. And it's so many times where you just go, okay, well, it doesn't make sense because my house is, it's going to go up and, whatever it is, the 4% interest rate or the principal being put on it. But you think, hey, if I'm going to get 12 or 17% in the other thing, basically our conversation that we had before is, if you can make more money somewhere else than what you're paying on whatever you're doing, why not do it? So
hey, Brian, can I tell you the one piece I love about industrial real estate? Everybody asks me about why industrial, and I a couple big reasons why. Then I'm going to give you the little secret about industrial that does not exist in any other asset class. So, big reasons why is because the demand level is off the chart. We're buying things every year. More and more things get bought online. And that means more and more things have to be local. Amazon, it's not just Amazon, but all the products, everything that go into that and the creation of those things, including the delivery of those things, that last mile eats up a ton of space. That COVID largely broke our system. What I mean by that, the just-in-time manufacturing that was done, where they'd have all the pieces made over in China, put them on a boat and come over here, that completely broke during COVID. And so what this country has realized is that we need to be manufacturing in the United States. There's a tremendous, it ultimately is going to be a growth sector for this country that we are reshoring, meaning bringing things back from that were overseas, and we're going to eat up lots of square footage here in this country. All right, that brings me to my little secret that only exists in industrial, and this is one of the reasons I actually like this asset class more than any other asset class. You get a vacancy. Imagine you have a 30-unit apartment complex, right? Let's call it $3 million. Every unit is vacant. Brian, is that good or bad?
Ooh, that's bad.
It's real bad. It's real bad. And so is a property worth less or more if it's 100% vacant, totally empty, less or more?
It's less.
It's worth less. Now, the same thing's true. McDonald's goes out of business, that building's worth less. All right. Starbucks go out of business, the building's worth less. Office today, you read the headlines, that your little company goes out of business, somebody leaves 50,000 square feet of office, it's worth less. In industrial, the building goes vacant, it's worth more.
Whoa,
that's a little secret about this business. Because just as what we established, why would they rather, a company is more interested in operating their business than they are about owning the real estate. But what will happen is you get small businesses who need more real estate, and if they can find a way to snatch up that property that's vacant, move their business into it, they'll pay more, because that rate of return on real estate is not very important as the rate of return on their business. They view real estate just like they view a truck, just like they view a piece of equipment or machinery. It is a cost of doing business. That piece of equipment, that real estate, allows them to make more money by doing the thing that they do best.
Wow, that is huge. Hey, what an eye opener. And I hope the folks that are listening to this are hearing what he's saying. As you're thinking about where you're going to invest in, and the ability to, even if it is vacant. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Absolutely. I appreciate that. We are definitely running down. So maybe you can tell everybody how to get a hold of you again, and then maybe any other closing thoughts that you would have. I want to do this again, as we get people that are talking to you, maybe in 6 months or something like that, and just, sit down and say, okay, this is where we're going. This is what's happened. This is what you missed out on because you didn't call you and get on and have that conversation with you, to be able to say, how can I get this going? Because I would implore you, if you have the ability to invest, or you've been thinking about investing, you're thinking about pulling people together, this is a great way to talk to somebody about doing some stuff. And that's what this show is about, right? Is finding ways to make sure that you have the ability to create income. So how do we get a hold of you again, Neil? And then, any other closing thoughts that you have?
Go to the website, legacyimpactinvestors.com. and just click on there, schedule a call. Then I'm happy to meet with you or your group, your family, and let's have a conversation. We'll just get to ultimately it starts with the body of trust. Let's get to know each other. And, as I said, we're looking for the right, to grow a little with the right folks, and it'd be a fun conversation. I've enjoyed this, Brian, and I'm sure the folks who plug into the show on a regular basis, they get to know and like and trust you, and so I commend you for the work that you're doing. It's a lot of fun, and I know the body of work where you get to impact others. It's pretty rewarding. So I commend you for what you're doing here, and I appreciate having me on.
Absolutely. And I will definitely send out this to a specific group of real estate agents who've been asking me about investing and asking me about how do they move forward. And so I want to make sure that they get that. And so thank you again for being on. Like I say at the end of every show is you can do this. You can do this. You might think, hey, this is so big and my mind's exploding and building, but that's why people like us that are around, that are doing this on a daily basis, especially Neil, when you talk about, commercial real estate, probably something you never ever thought about in your life so far, that was even something you could do. And he's not saying just go figure it out yourself, go watch a YouTube video or he's saying give him a call, right? And he will go over and work you through that process, and you continue to be good at what you do. Second part is you deserve this, right? We live in a country that allows us to create wealth in so many different ways. And if you're not taking advantage of it, you're just losing out, because it is there and you deserve it, and it's there and available to you. And then the last part is just make sure that you let the experts help you. You don't do this every single day. Be good at what you're at. So I thank you guys for another edition of the Mile High Real Estate Podcast. Neil, I appreciate you being on here, spending the time talking to us, enlightening us. Like I said, we'll do this again. And you guys have an amazing, awesome, incredible day today. We'll see you later.